All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, officially a very warm welcome to today's start of the Mastering and Mental Game course, so to say, right? So today, in the next 60 minutes or so, let me admit here one more person. All right, so today, in the next 60 minutes, we talk about only one single topic. What I believe is the foundation of your future success. And well, honestly speaking, or frankly speaking, it will actually determine whether you end up consistently profitable or struggle and or struggle forever, basically, and stay mediocre, right? So today we will raise and discuss only one question, right? The foundation. And the question is, how do you treat your business? And the agenda you see here on the slide is basically the framework for the entire course. That's the framework I created, that I was doing when I conducted the course, I don't know, a couple of months back. I remember a few of you who are here today were also with us a couple of months ago. A few are new. So thank you and welcome back to the ones who watched my previous Mastering the Mental Game course. So that's the framework. And what I did last time, it's pretty much freestyle, right? So what I did last time is we did in total four lessons, and every topic we discussed in one single lesson. So, and I also would like to do this rather interactive and not like be having a 60-minute monologue. I would like to have really a dialogue and have this as interactive as possible, right? So please, this course can be stretched in, I don't know, as many sessions as you need. Can be stretched in 8 sessions, 9 sessions, 6 sessions. I don't really care. I can do this every single Sunday. But of course, I need content for that. So please, throughout the session, if you have any kind of questions, just let me know, and then I'll basically just jump in and answer on your question on the spot, or I'll say, all right, that's a topic we can maybe even talk a little bit more. I can maybe elaborate a little bit more, and we can create a whole session for your question, right? If it's like a really important topic. So that's just my framework that I think is really, really important. And again, please jump in whenever you want, and I'll have always one eye, obviously, on the chat, right? So, and before we start, I just want to make clear that these sessions, right, they are not about attacking anyone personally or me finger pointing or pretending to be kind of superior to others. No, right? I just really want to speak from my own experience, share also what is really important, my own personal mistakes. And believe me not, I did a lot of mistakes, and still to that date, I'm doing once in a while a stupid mistake, right? A mental mistake. Not, we talk about the mental game, not technical mistakes, right? And but I also want to point out mistakes that others make. And somehow interestingly, even though trading is a very individual exercise, right? It's a very egocentric game, so to say. And everyone has different circumstances. The mistakes people make, very interestingly, are usually more or less the same. So I really want to apologize already in advance, since throughout this course, right, some of you might remember it from last time, it can get a bit emotional, right? I could start yelling and screaming. No, it's not going to be that bad, but I might use the one or the other swear word, so I hope that's okay with you guys. And why is this topic, this topic, so important to me? Well, I think this is kind of obvious, because I really want you to become the best possible trader the best trader you possibly could be or can be. And why is that? Well, because again, very transparently, honestly speaking, because, well, also out of selfish reasons. Why? Because at the end of the day, the success of our academy, right, stands and falls with the success of our students. So basically with you guys. And if we had plenty, or if we had unsuccessful students, right, you guys would never recommend us. And still, I have to say, still a good number of new students are basically joining us because of your recommendation, right? So I want to take this opportunity to genuinely want to thank you for that. And now building a bridge to, well, the first topic of today. And I think now we can use where is idea? So the next slide, or basically almost the only slide for today. Yeah, now to build a bridge to our first topic of today. And this is basically why it makes me completely, utterly furious to see some of you guys don't treat trading like the way it has to be treated to become or to be successful in that business. So wow, now I used already a very, very important and big word, and that word is business, right? So ultimately, right, everyone who starts trading, and this is not just an empty phrase, everyone who starts trading is some kind of is a business owner in a sense, right? Most probably more like a startup, a very small business owner. Somebody starts a little bit bigger, right? Again, this depends on your personal bank account, wallet, circumstances, right? Some of you start a little bit bigger, some of you start a little bit smaller, but that's absolutely fine. So why would you now consider trading why would you now consider trading, or why do I consider trading a business, right? Really important question. So how do I define a business, right? Very, very simple to simplify, right? Because at the end of the day, you are using money, right? You're using money, most probably your own personal money, to make more money. Now, well, that's my definition of a business, right? I use money to make more money. So now you're running a business. That's what you want to achieve with trading. Well, wait a minute. Isn't that what I can achieve with gambling as well, right? I use money to generate more money. So how do I distinguish at the end, right? Gambling with business, right? And if you see now here on, and I really want you to be absolutely honest here. You don't have to write it down in a chat. At some point of time, I would really know if you're really honest to yourself at this stage that you are in right now. And you see that horizontal line here that goes from 0 to 10. So the question is that I want to ask you personally, and you don't have to answer me that question. You can also take a while to really think about it. How do you treat trading? Do you treat trading more like very extreme to the left side, which is the casino? So you would be level scale from 0 to 10. You would be literally 0. Are you somewhere in the middle that you see here on the left, right? Some of these points that I would say, these bullet points on the left would classify, define somebody. So if you can tick in the box all of these, that would be bad, right? If you can tick in the box all of these bullet points to the left, that would classify you as 0. I'm in for the, I'm the addict, I'm a gambler. Or let's go all the way to the right. Are you treating trading like it deserves to be treated, like a real business? So look at these bullet points, and we're going to discuss these bullet points not only today. These, I will remind you on these bullet points, and we basically touch on these bullet points. We will only touch on these bullet points today, and more or less fill them with some kind of life throughout the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sessions. As I said, how many sessions you want and how many sessions we can fill also with some content. So most probably you had already enough time to just to browse through these bullet points. So if you are willing to say, or like just type a number in the chat if you're willing to do that, I would be curious. How do you trade? How do you treat your trading? Are you somewhere between 0 and 5, or are you between 5 and 10? So, and again, please be honest here, right? If you don't want to mention it to the entire group, be more like then just do it for yourself. I have to smile now, of course, now, because now we start the interaction here a little bit. Marcel, I would say, since I know a little bit how you're treating trading right now, I think now you're also more like towards 5 and 10 right now, currently, right? You're when it comes to your mental game, clearly, what I can see, at least from the outside, improving. But between 5 and 10, so that's great. So now let's compare these points, and let's fill them a little bit, just with some life, and add some meat to the bone here. We obviously, we're gonna, on some of these points, we need a little bit more time to elaborate on. I need a little bit more time, especially when it comes to journaling, reviewing, trading routine, milestone plan. This is basically all the money part and the logging part. We have I have created sessions for that we're gonna do in the next couple of weeks, right? But let's start on the top, right? So no clear rules in place if you are at 0, or clear rules in place. Obviously, everyone at some point of time starts from the scratch, right? You start with your educational journey. Of course, how can you have clear rules in place? Anyway, this kind of I would say mental game, and if I look into the participant lists, I'm glad to see that, as I can tell from my observation, that most of you are in this game already for quite some time. Some spent more time with trading and some less, but overall, this entire mental game is applicable to you guys. Obviously, if I just started let's assume I just started my educational journey today, all this would not apply to me, because of course I don't have clear trading rules in place because I just started off trading and learning, right? But if you, right, and that's if you completed, and all of you completed it 100%, completed the blueprint course, then you should have clear rules in place, right? When to move your stop loss to break even, when to trade management, when to take T1, T2, do I have one target, two targets? How do I define freshness? When am I allowed to buy in a downtrend? What is for me anticipatory trend? All these kind of things that we have talked about over and over again, right? Clear rules in place. So next point. Do you tend to, and some of these points are kind of even overlapping, right? And kind of interlinked. So on the left, obviously, what I like to say in quotation marks, cowboy trading, right? Or in other words, right, if you go treating it like a business, right, you're sticking to your rule book, right? You're sticking to your rules with almost every single trade, right? So this is something that in the future, when we talk about the trade plan and trade log, one part of the log, right? When you log a trade, you have to check, hey, was this trade fully to my rules, or was this a cowboy trade, right? Was it a revenge trade? Did I just jump do I feel like, do I have FOMO, right? All these kind of emotional roller coaster that like happens to all of us. And like full disclosure here, right? I was also cowboy trading and was cowboy trading for a very long time, right? These are what for me realized that these are some kind of they come in phases, right? And sometimes even what I used to realize a long time back, though, that for me, it's more like when I feel like when I'm like rather in a good mood, right? It's had to do with, for me personally, it had to do with a lot of like, did I have a good day at my job? And we talk about, right, when I was still like long time ago, when I was still employed, right? Did I have a good job? Did I have a good day? Did I have a bad day? Did I have stress with some team colleagues, with my supervisor, with my boss? And this is where I, or sometimes when I felt like, oh, nothing is working, and then I even kind of dig myself even deeper into the shithole, sorry for my language, and started even more going nuts and did some cowboy trading, right? So you have to realize that I assume everyone here in the room, right, including myself, has done a cowboy trade before, right? A trade that is in retrospect, just if you just sleep over it and you wake up the next day when you thought, what the fuck did I do, right? What the fuck did I do here, right? I was just like, yes, I was just reading Dennis' comment. That's great. That's amazing. Now, now since there's more stuff coming in the chat box, let me read. So regarding the rules, so Rose is saying, I'm reading that out loud. Rose is saying it's regarding the rule. It's a lot of trial and error and practice, and it does take a little time to arrive to super clear list of rule. It kind of keeps evolving. Let me, and this is exactly how I would like to structure these sessions. So now Rose is touching on a very interesting point that I can now immediately jump in and elaborate on that point, because it kind of fits to that also part, since we just talked about rules, right? sticking to rules is, I fully understand. Sticking to rules is easier said than actually done. For me, just to say, stick to your fucking rules, well, the rules can be, the list of rules can be quite long, right? And can be also sometimes quite confusing. And Rose is absolutely right when she says it's a lot of trial and error and practice. But here comes the trick, ladies and gentlemen. The problem is, and this is a problem a lot of people are doing, is they're jumping from one rule set to another after 5 trades. They do 5 trades, 4 of them didn't work. So, the rules must be faulty. I have to just change most of my rules. And then they start another, they start another sample size of trades with completely new set of rules, right? Or where they changed 50% of the rules. Ladies and gentlemen, what is really important is you need always a proper sample size of trades. And here I only touch on these points that you say, okay, I can, and this is not like my gut feel says it's not working, or my gut feel says I should change my rule, right? We're going to have a session throughout this course that says you can only improve what you measure. What is meant by that, obviously, is you have to have a clear log where you log everything precisely to then really come to a conclusion, hey, I need to change X, Y, Z, or I don't need to, I only have to change Z and not X, or whatever it is, right? But I see that, right? I see a lot of, now, again, not finger pointing, a lot of you, I don't address anybody directly, I'm saying you in general, right? A lot of you are changing rules just by the trade, or by, you have 2 trades, they didn't work out, then you're changing the rules again, right? This is how you cannot achieve consistency. You really have to say, and this is always the starting point. That's why, and Rose, you're also you're 100% right that you say they keep evolving. Of course, right? You get us, you get in the very beginning, in the blueprint, for instance, you get a very simplistic set of rules. This is your starting point, right? And later on, the more experience you get, the better, the more experience you have, the bigger sample size, you have on trades, you basically find certain patterns that evolve in your trading, and then you can basically erase or add things in your rule book. I mean, think about it. Now, somebody who just start off trading would be completely over the moon and completely frustrated if I tell them, okay, now you have to look at COT report, now you have to look at valuation now, but add please seasonality on top as well, but always then supply and demand always comes first, right? You have to you have to have a proper structure, that you first master one thing and then you see how this is going to go, and then you add. I'm just coming up with some points, right? And then you add seasonality on top, and then maybe, hey, okay, maybe let's see how COT could help me as well for certain trades. This is, it's at the end of the day, right? You always hear the phrase, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but that's really what it is in the beginning, right? I mean, it's never a sprint, but it takes some time to get like a clear set of rules that you now can say you're happy with that set of rules, right? Yes, so really good point. And I hope if you don't, and right, this is not about me now whatever I say, you can clearly disagree or you can comment on that. I would really like, it doesn't mean it's whatever I say, it's not like, hey, this is sizzled in stone and this is the way how to, um, 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 that's the, yeah, that's the only way how to become successful, right? There's a lot of ways that lead to Rome. That's like how we say in Germany, right? There's a lot of ways to become consistent in trading. However, I firmly believe that the framework that is mentioning that I state, and this is the framework, right? That's your foundation of the house, right? If most of them, it's like your house of cards, if most of them are just, I don't know, broken, well, that house of card, right? Just a small wind has to come and you know what's going to happen, right? So literally this is the framework, and how you achieve and how you get to these frameworks, this is very individual and very, yeah, everyone can get to these points differently. So very, very good point. So yes, this was the part of cowboy trading, right? Now, next point is no written trade plan, right? And on the other side, obviously, it's a written trading plan. So again, and I would approach this topic trading plan now, me after, right? I also, this is also some kind of evolvement from my side, that when I started off trading, I immediately wrote 17 pages of trading plan that had everything, like my future goals and targets that I want to achieve, a lot of fairy tales and so forth, and yeah, a lot of hypothetical unicorns, yes, a lot of hypothetical numbers and wishful thinking that I added in my trading plan, in my first trading plan, right? I think really overall 16, 17, 18 pages. Guys, in the beginning, just have a one pager with your set of rules and start trading. Really, there we can be really pragmatic. And these rules are going to change throughout your journey. You evolve, you get more experience, and so on and so forth. And yes, ultimately, you can add more points to your trading plan. Like, for instance, as I said, the point of, hey, and we talk about this next time, the money chapter, where money management, also potential targets, milestone planning, when to increase my risk, and the most important aspect of all things is, right, my R's, my rewards. And I will just touch a little bit on that today, but next week, 1 hour full throttle, milestone planning, R's, what do I have to achieve to potentially become full-time or make 120K per year, whatever the number is. There is a clear formula, and I also will explain why ROI, return on investment, when it comes to active trading, right? We talk here active trading, and when we talk active trading, we always talk about using leverage. Why ROI is the dumbest KPI that exists, and everyone, I really believe in that, and I can also yeah, I can give you facts, right? And I'll do this next time. Why ROI, for instance, is the dumbest KPI that exists when it comes to active trading that we do on CFDs, futures, Forex, and so on and so forth, right? It's a different topic for long-term investing, stock market, compounding, blah, blah, blah. ROI, yes, there it fits. It has their place. Here, we can be really pragmatic. We can talk only about R's, and when you have enough R's, the money comes automatically. Again, I just want to tease that for next time. This is so essential, right? And this is where we can achieve that, what I call the emotional freedom technique, that you will not think so much about money, but more about, hey, How much R's do I have collected? What is my target, and so on and so forth, right? Really, really important topic, right? Now, what's the next point? Yeah, like we can summarize this a little bit. No trade log, no trade journal, no trade review here on the left, and on the right, yeah, you're journaling your trades, every single trade. You're reviewing your trade. You take, okay, let me stop here. Take all trades. I'll get there in a second. So the part of journaling trades, right? The logging trades, we all understand. But we also, in this session, we will explore what actually makes sense to log and what doesn't make sense to log. A lot of people, and I heard this as well, saying, well, why do I have to log trades? Because I just, download my trade statement from Equity or from IG or from TradeStation, and everything is mentioned in my trading statement. But you're right in a sense, but these are not the points that we want to track, right? We want to track points like, I give you an example. Was this a trade with the trend, against the trend? Did I include, I'm just making up points now. Was it against seasonality, with seasonality? How many rules of mine were in place? How many were against? And what kind of rule were against the trade? Was this a copy trade? Did I copy this trade, just blindly copy it? Or did I find it by myself? And I took it completely independent from what Bernd, Jan, Tobias, Julian, whatever somebody posting on a newsfeed is saying, right? It's to distinguish that is so important, right? Hey, I took 10 trades. Let's assume, hey, I took 10 trades, right? 5 of these 10 trades, I found myself completely independent, and 5 trades that I basically just blindly copy paste without even checking my own rules, because, hey, Bernd said it's a good trade, I'll take it, right? So, and let's assume these are also 5 trades. Now you might see in your log, hey, out of the 5 trades that I found for myself at some point of time, 4 of them were profitable, right? 2-to-1s, 3-to-1s, 4-to-1s, whatever. 1 loser, maybe 1 break even, and maybe the trades that Bernd recommended, maybe 4 of them sucked, loser, and only 1 made a 2-to-1. So then you clearly know what to do. Hey, I can trust myself and I can completely start to trade independently, right? To take a good example, Julian, right? When he will end up with 50 freaking R's with 50 R's, right? At the end of the year, he mentioned that he doesn't even watch our sessions anymore. Sometimes he does if he have time. It's everything independent, right? What he does. And that's why that's our goal here, to teach you to become independent traders and not copy traders, right? So that copy pasting, this has a place, obviously, but ultimately it's for your own good and for your own development, that you want to become as independent as possible. And ideally, right, the ideal structure is always, hey, I do my own, and we talk about this more when it comes to, hey, I have a session for that blind as well, routine, structure, organization, that you say, okay, I'll do the whole analysis, like the markets that I trade, I do them for myself. I analyze them for myself, but then I'll watch the sessions, the recordings that are provided by Tobias, Jan, and Bernd, and also Julian, his freestyle session now every Thursday, right? That you basically then say, wow, okay, look at this trade on the indices. I also found that long that Jan basically found perfectly. It matches my set of rules. I take this trade, right? That's the way to go, and that's the only way to go, right? And if you see the opposite, basically, that you say, hey, well, the trades that I took by myself, that completely 5 out of 5 losers, well, then you have to work more on your craft and spend more time practicing. I hope that's kind of in a nutshell so far makes sense. Now, the point of taking all trades is something that let me first talk more about the review of trades. The first step is logging trades, right? Again, only in a nutshell. I get to that point because now it's only on one single slide, right? I'll prepare a slide for that when we talk about your routine and the whole trade logging, journaling, reviewing part. And what is really important when it comes to that point is that people just, okay, one part is tracking my trades, logging my trades, and then forgetting about these trades. That's completely wrong, right? That's basically mission failed, because what is really important is, and this is by, and I don't want to say too much here because I could elaborate for an hour on that part, is when you want to review your trades is, yes, I have set targets in the very beginning that are provided from our side, right? I trade with the trend 1 to 4, I trade against the trend 1 to 2. These are just, this is not really, this is not scientific, right? And we make the distinction between what is actually scientific and what is just what are rules that you have to have rules, but has nothing to do with science at all, right? And one of these points is basically one of the points is trade management, right? Taking profit at 1 to 2 or taking profit at 1 to 4. There's nothing scientific about that, but that's why you basically at some point of time, and this comes with experience, you have that guidance that you stick to in the beginning, but then at some point of time, you basically, let's assume you log a trade, it was a 1 to 4, right? Let's assume you log a trade, it was a 1 to 4, but you logged the trade, you can review that trade after 4 weeks, and you realized, wow, this trade would have been a double-digit R if I had taken profit maybe lower. And then you basically, and lower or higher, depending on supply and demand, right? Or you say, in terms of trade management, hey, I always move my stop loss to break even. Exactly, Rose, yes, or didn't move my stop loss. There's so many things that we will go we will look at all these points, right? Saying, okay, we will look at all these points in a later session, right? Very important, right? So like, let's say I always move my stop loss to break even at 1 to 1. That's just a rule. There's no science behind that rule. It's a rule that you have a rule in place. But at some point of time, looking all your trades, reviewing all your trades, you see, hey, like 10 out of 10, you took 10 trades and you said, okay, I always move my stop loss to break even at 1 to 1, no matter what. And then you realized you have 5 break-even trades. And then you review these trades after 4 weeks and you realize, if I didn't move my stop loss at 1 to 1 and I moved my stop loss at 1 to 2, they would have been all at profit. Who knows, right? And that's why we lock trades, because of the factor that you can review your trades at some point of time and then change these rules that are not scientific based. Scientific based is, I only buy in demand and I only sell in supply, right? I don't buy in supply, I don't sell in demand. That's a science, right? But these number games, this is just rules to have rules. But if you don't review these trades, if you don't in the first place lock these trades and then don't review these trades, how in the freaking hell can you ever change these rules and improve there, right? You can only improve what you measure. That's how the session is gonna be called. You can only improve what you measure. If you don't measure it, if you don't review it, you cannot change these rules and become better, improve, right? That's crystal clear. That should be clear to everyone. That's a business, right? We have a business plan. We have business measures. And at the end of the year, we review our business plan. Can we do something better, right? And this is trading like any other business, right? Now, Mark is saying, regarding copy and paste, I noticed that when it comes to the trade plan, it depends definitely on your own needs and which structure fits best. For me, it was really difficult to adopt a kind of blueprint plan. When I developed my own structure, I realized that it was much more productive and useful. Yes. Yes, and we are aware of that this is a double-edged sword. Or I mean, it's obvious that it's a double-edged sword, that entire copy paste thing, right? Because you cannot just always depend on us, right? And this leads me to taking all the point that is here. The next point that says here on the business side, after reviewing your trades, is take all trades. Now, again, I could elaborate for hours on that point. In a nutshell, okay, it's not going to be a nutshell, but I'll try to keep myself short. That in a nutshell, don't limit yourself in the beginning. And obviously, now you see now how we basically now also the structure that we are now developed in terms of for the campus, that every one of us who is giving lessons, right, or is trading live, has a responsibility for certain assets, for certain markets, right? Jan has his markets. I don't intervene in his markets. This is his responsibility. I have my markets that I analyze for you guys. Tobias is not intervening in my markets. Jan is not intervening in my markets. And Tobias has his markets that he analyzes, and nobody from us intervenes in his markets. And Julian, we let Julian so far, and I hope he can continue his sessions. Again, I want to state this here, only if we get enough people coming live, because obviously Julian, I have to say it, right? I want to be here fully transparent with you guys. Of course, Julian is not doing this for free. He's not like right? He's very busy, right? We pay him to do that. So if there's 4 people coming, then there's no need. You understand that, right? And there is no need. If nobody is there to watch his live trading session, then obviously there is no need, and we don't have to pay him, right? These are costs, right? I want to be as transparent as possible. But if you appreciate what he is doing, and if you acknowledge it, and if you come live and you can learn from him, how he has by far the best KPIs in the entire campus, far better KPIs than myself and Jan, right? Then it's not up, then you don't need it. And we are happy if you don't need it. That means you're doing very well. But I come to this point later on, right? Now, when it comes to prioritizing something, right? Now, back to taking all trades. Now, Julian, for instance, I take him as now as an example, because I know from him, he is saying, hey, I hardly trade futures. I made all my R's with most of my R's with Forex and with stocks. Perfect, right? Again, but what is really important here, now you might say, well, Julian did that, now I will do this as well. That's completely nonsense, right? Everybody is different, and you have to find your way. Some of you, some of the traders, they say, hey, I don't trade stocks, I mostly trade futures, right? It's completely personal, very individual, right? There's, in general here, we talk, there's no one size fits all. It doesn't exist only because I'm doing X, Y, Z, only because I let my profits run and I don't take profit immediately at 1 to 4 sometimes, doesn't mean it fits to your trading style. Only because of Julian is hardly trading futures and trading mostly Forex and stocks, it doesn't mean it's your style where you're going to be successful in. Very important. So by taking all trades, what I mean is, don't limit yourself. Get yourself into, I see a lot of people, like, especially in the beginning, hey, or they don't trade stocks. I don't know why. They don't trade. To look at Tobias, look just at Tobias log. He's logging the stocks that he is basically taking, right? And people are saying, no, I don't trade stocks. Well, so you don't want to make money or what? Why do you limit yourself? These are stock CFDs, by the way, right? You don't need a $100,000 account all the stocks that Toby analyzes are available, I think, on equity or IC markets, right? It's all CFD based. So it's always leverage. So nobody can say, I don't have money for stocks because they are all CFD. So this is also an excuse that is bullshit, right? So now don't limit yourself. And then you basically will, after a year or so, you will see, hey, again, logging, hey, most of my Forex trades, they suck. Why do I continue now trading Forex? Like right? I'm just coming up with some stupid examples, right? Doesn't mean it's now Forex sucks, right? For me, it doesn't suck, right? So again, really important. This is one part of taking all trades. This is one pillar that is important when it comes to taking all trades. Another pillar is when it comes to all trades, and some of you made this experience 100%, right? Is that you say, okay, I do a little bit of copy paste, and then I copy random trades, right? Some trades that because I'm just sporadically watching. Let's just make a silly example, right? Most probably it's not silly, but let's just make an example. Let's say, oh, I'll watch randomly whenever I have the time, sporadically, some of the sessions. There are some trades. Oh, I saw 2 of the previous trades were great. Now I trade as well. I trade these markets as well. Or I've seen that frozen orange juice trade was very nice. Now let me jump into the next trade that he recommends, right? Things like that. And obviously all of us, if you even look at Julian's win-loss ratio, because we will also obviously see that win-loss ratio, right? We all should know that already, that win-loss ratio has nothing to do with like being successful or not. It's also like one of the dumbest KPIs, almost, right after ROI or before ROI even, when it comes to profitability, to active trading, right? Win-loss ratio is it's just nonsense. Everybody who talks about win-loss ratio has no clue about trading, right? I can immediately say, if somebody talks about win-loss ratio, you have never traded, right? Never, right? Successful at least. So because you see, even Julian's win-loss ratio actually is quite good. He has, I think, more than 50%, 55% win-loss ratio, or so 55% winners, 45 losers, and some break-evens, obviously. So, but most of our win-loss ratio, right, is around 50% or even lower, right, between 40 and 50%. So we make money because when we have trades, there are multiple R's. Now, if you just randomly, now let me build the bridge to taking all trades. If you just randomly copy trades, well, and you do cherry picking, right? If you do cherry picking, what do you think is going to happen most likely? If a normal win to loss ratio is 40, 50%, what do you think if you do cherry picking? Most probably some of you have done this and realized it. What happens if you do cherry picking? Most probably you're going to get what? You pick which trades are you going to pick? Most probably that somehow, right? The losers, right? Exactly. So that's why that taking all trades, you pick, yeah, that taking all trades is so important, right? If you say I copy all trades, okay, but then copy all trades and not do cherry picking. If you say I take only the trades that meet my rules, even better, right? But don't start cherry picking, because cherry picking never worked long term, right? Cannot. How can it work if you have a win-loss ratio of 40-50%? How? Impossible, right? All right. Clear trading routine, right? And we have here to the left missing out on trades, right? This is no, one comes with the other, right? No trading routine, not organized, not structured, right? Or clear trading routine, organized and structured. Now, we will talk about trading routine again in a whole session, and I can elaborate for hours on the trading routine, because I cannot only speak from my own experience, I can speak from some of the students, right? From the personal mentoring sessions, one-to-one coachings, and also what I hear from others, right? Who talk to me about the routine. This is something that is extremely, extremely individual. And again, there's no one size fits all. And when it comes to this particular point, trading routine being organized and structured, I'm thinking of now talking quickly, moving to the last point here as well, because somehow they are related. How you prioritize your trading. But I think I wait for this until the end of the session. Now, trading routine, right? This is something we talk about different trading routines, but this is really something that you have to find for yourself, that you be organized and structured, right? This is something, how can we help you creating a trading routine? Your daily life, your daily routine, your daily obligation, family, work, business, whatsoever, right? This is something you really have to do for yourself. But we're going to work on this a little bit in one of the sessions. Now, random risk size, right? Random risk size. Again, guilty as charged. I raise my hand here with random risk size, right? This comes a little bit coexistent and linked to cowboy trading, right? Because if you do random risk size, this is basically cowboy trading, right? If you take one trade with $1,000 of risk, and all of a sudden the next trade you take with $4,000 of risk, or you had like two losers with like $1,000, and then you say, hey, fuck that, the next trade is good. I see like, oh, well, it's going to be this has to make my month, and then you're going to take $5,000 of risk, whatever the number is, right? Again, milestone planning, everybody should be aware of milestone planning. But again, we're going to, talk a little bit more about milestone planning in one of these sessions, that again, you have a fixed dollar risk. And this is where the R's come, right? You would never able to measure your R's, your reward. And some of you remember from the previous sessions on how many times I mentioned it in my sessions. Your goal is to achieve per year what is really realistic, right? 24 R's. Of course, most probably not right in the first year, right? If you're really good, maybe, and you have a lot of time on your hands and you can do that. So, and you are not like, you treat your trading as a business in the very first year as well, like from the get-go. But overall, 20 to 24 hours, right? On average, 2 hours roughly, sometimes 1 hour on average every month, right? Some month you're going to be 0, some month you're going to be negative, some month you have 8 hours, right? So, but overall, 20 to 24 hours per year. And with that, you should be at some point capable to make a living. If you want to do that, make a living with trading. If you then, right, add a certain amount of risk, certain amount of risk to if you add a certain amount of risk to your risk profile, right? Of course, if you If you want to make $120,000 a year with $1,000 of risk per trade, right? $1,000 times 20 or times 24, you will end up $24,000 a year, right? Of course, then you have to, if you want to next year want to achieve $120,000, if this is realistic for you, you need more than $1,000, right? Risk per trade. But we're gonna talk about this obviously in one of the sessions, most probably already the next one. Now, last but not least, and then we are already, that's not bad, it's really not bad, that we are kind of on time. I know sometimes I talk a little bit too much, as I said, because this is really like gets to me, this topic, because it's so important. How do you prioritize your trading, right? You see to the Netflix, you see to the left, right? How do you treat your business? Are you, right, provocatively saying, are you prioritizing rather Netflix in the evening, right? Or are you, right, prioritizing trading and the education? And I have created here one more slide that is kind of, this kind of behavior. I just recently had a long discussion with one of our students, actually. I don't want to say his name, and if I had said where he's from, it would have been also clear. With one of our students, right? And we clearly realized that this is the case for him, and 100%, it's not only for him, right? That's a bell curve. And this is how I say now, really, don't get me wrong. Most of you treat trading, right? You're starting very motivated, right? You're super motivated. You spend hours in front of the chart, right? You even somehow overdoing it, right? Very, very great start. And then all of a sudden, right, you remember that it's like, you remember that bell curve most probably from the blueprint, from the direction lesson, right? The trend is your friend until the end of the bend, right? It's the uptrend, sideways, downtrend. Who remembers, right? It's exactly that, right? This is where I took it from. This is where I took it from. But that bell curve is so applicable to how most of you guys are treating trading. Again, no finger pointing, but some of you, right? Or maybe you can disagree or agree with me, right? It would be nice if you say, no, that's not true. Or you say, yes, Bernd, actually, that's what I do or what I did, right? And then at some point of time, you realize, wow, that's the end of the trend, right? That's the end of the band now. Then you have a few losers in a row. And then obviously you stop maybe logging, because I remember how it was for me, logging losers, fuck that, right? It's only nice to log winners, right? And then you stop it, right? Or you realize, oof, hey, all this stuff, this trading thing, this is a little bit more effort than I thought, right? And then at the end of the band, then you're finding excuses for yourself not to spend time trading. Again, don't get me wrong. The dumbest excuse that I always hear is, I don't have time. Sorry, right? For me, it's a dumb excuse. I know, again, you might think, yes, Bernd is saying it's dumb because he cannot relate anymore to having a full-time job and being maybe on edge for 10 hours at my job, and have other obligations, blah blah blah. I cannot find time for trading. Guys, everyone here in this room, and I don't want to point out certain people, I could always say, if XYZ here in the room has time for 30 minutes a day, and you are telling me you don't find 30 minutes a day, but you find 30 minutes to watch my Instagram stories on social media, right? How much time you're wasting doing stupid things, right? No, seriously, right? Now, my point is, if you prioritize that in your life, and this is really important for you, everyone here in this room, the 16 participants, find 30 minutes of their time putting into their education on average per day. There might be a day where you're like coming home at 10, fully exhausted. Yes, I got it. But hey, everyone has a weekend, for instance, right? For me, it was always about setting priorities. And when you have this bell curve behavior, and then again, it starts, you say, okay, now let's make a fresh start. Let's start again. And you start motivated. And then you realize this is never going to work, right? It has to be like this. I could now draw here a horizontal line in here. It has to be very constant over a long period of time. And when I talk a long period of time, I talk 12 months, 15 months, 6 months, consistent, right? We're talking, again, you have to have that business approach. No business in this world got like from 0 to hero in 1 year. Or tell me one business, right? Maybe the Shiba coin, right? Or Dogecoin, right? But at the end of the day, we are trying to run here a very sustainable business, starting slow and starting to scale up. Yeah, I saw Dennis, you deleted it. I saw that. Sorry for that interruption. So I lost my train of thought. What did I just say? I can't remember. But my point is here, if you sustainable business, thank you, Mr. Saher. Starting small, yes, and then test. You lost me. I'm back. Wait. Am I back? Am I back? Hello, hello. Yes, back in line. Yes. Perfect. I just I touched the cable a little bit too. Yeah, I just touched the cable. Great that I'm back. So again, you lost me. So lost you at sustainable business. Yes, sustainable business. A sustainable business, right? It's not growing overnight. It's to cut to the chase here. A sustainable business, right? It takes time to grow. And if you continue being like that, when it comes to your trading approach, to your time spending, or to how to prioritize this trading, right? This business. And if you have this and you continue with that roller coaster bell curve approach, I can also guarantee you this is never going to work for you, right? You're always going to struggle, right? You're always going to struggle.
You have to find a way, and this has also something to do with a routine, building a routine for yourself, that you're not overdoing, that you basically can consistently take all the trades, that you can review these trades, that you can log these trades, that you have for yourself some business hours where you only spend time really trading, right? All these kind of things that we dive into and explore more in the later sessions. But the foundation is, again, that you stop trading like, or stop being in that kind of roller coaster and stop being in that bell curve, that you are like consistent for a longer period of time. And if you're consistent for a longer period of time, let's say 12 to 18 months, if you can tell me in that room, if you're in that room and you say, hey, I achieved that, I'm already doing that consistently, right? If I go back one slide, hey, I'm doing most of that part. I'm at a 7 and I'm at a 7 or at a 8. Hey, I'm doing all what you are saying, Bernd, right now. I'm doing most of the parts that you are saying. And I'm doing this not only for 1 month, not only for 3 months, not only for 6 months. I'm doing that for 12 consecutive months, or maybe for 18 consecutive months, and I'm still lost. Then we can have a discussion. Then we can have a discussion, and then we can look, okay, what's really the problem? But I doubt that you are, or like the ones that are struggling, that are doing most of these things for that period of time. Am I right or am I wrong? So that's and I don't need an answer here. Only if you say, Bernd, you're wrong, then we can have a discussion. We can also have a private discussion then. But the point is that you have to prioritize what is important for you. And if you want to be successful in that business, and if you want to treat it like a business, and then you have to, right, say, this is more important than Netflix, or this is more important than social media, or this is more important than going out with my friends on the weekends, right? Or going for brunch, or whatever it is, right? So a business, you have to prioritize, right? To cut a long story short. Well, I think that's it to sum it up for this session, right? So next week we talk about money, ROI, win-loss, R's, what you need to achieve, right? What you want to achieve, why 20 to 24 hours, all these kind of things we talk about next week. Again, I would appreciate if you are live. Again, I want to say these sessions are recorded. However, I will only upload them in between 4 to 8 weeks. So it will take some time in the new classroom when we launch Campus 2.0. That's going to be really nice. So again, thank you for coming live, and yeah, talk to you. Do we have the time to take a quick question? Obviously, yes, guys, questions always. Questions. Wait, so don't say thank you, otherwise I don't see the question. Rules aside, certainly established that they are a necessity to achieve consistency. What are the most important elements, let's say the must-haves of good trading plan? It's just let's talk about this when we talk about logging, journaling, and so on, when we touch on trading plan as well. Jan is also doing a new trading plan course as well. He's doing that actually after I finished and completed Mastering the Mental Games, and he's going to go live and does the trading plan with you guys as well. But in a nutshell, really the most important thing is just having your set of rules written down on a piece of paper, right? Your set of rules that you basically, okay, how do I get to a trade? Is this a trade that I'm allowed to take? Yes or no? You're analyzing whatever it is. You're analyzing S&P 500. Hey, there's a demand zone. is this demand, so am I allowed to take this demand zone as per my set of rules? Yes or no? And then second part is, how do I take this trade? Am I going to set this trade? Am I do confirmation entry? Am I do reversal trade, etc.? Right? The way how to enter multiple opportunities. Am I going to a lower time frame, enter there, whatever it is, right? But having these two steps, just there's much more to it, right, when it comes to trading plan. But in the very beginning, for you, two things: is that a trade am I allowed to take? Yes or no? How do I take that? Blah 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 blah. Right? Makes sense? Two steps, and that's it for now, right? And all the other numbers, fairy tales, unicorns and stuff, that comes after a year or two or so, right? You know what I'm talking about. So, all right, okay, guys. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciated that. It was a very, I hope you enjoyed. Very productive. And yes, maybe some of you was like, okay, hey, I maybe have to treat my trading a little bit differently. Then I see you next Sunday. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.